welcome to Afrik Express. Today we have a very special guest. In fact, if you're watching from Brockton, a lot of you know her or have seen her around. She just finished running a very heavy campaign, and believe it or not, she's back on the campaign trail. Her name is City Councilor at Large Shaynah Barnes. Ms. Barnes, you are welcome to Afrik Express.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation to come.
So, you are back on the campaign trail.
Yes.
After the entire summer
Right.
through fall.
Right.
And you're back again.
I am. I am.
Interesting. So, tell us, who is Ms. Barnes? I know a lot of people know you, at least from Brockton. Mm-hmm. Even outside Brockton too. So, but for those of them that are not really familiar with you, tell us, who is Ms. Shaynah Barnes?
Okay. Well, Shaynah Barnes is a girl born in Washington, D.C. to Jim and Gwen Barnes. At the age of 4, my parents unfortunately got divorced, but decided that they can work better as friends and co-parent. So my mom is a Brockton native here, the Williams family, and so she came back home. And I have been in Brockton my entire life. The only time I moved out of Brockton was when I went to college. I lived on campus, but I came back home. And I attended Brockton schools, public and private schools, graduated from Cardinal Spellman in 1991. Went on to Northeastern University and went back to Northeastern after graduating with a criminal justice degree. Went back for postgraduate studies in justice administration. After I left there, my first job out of college was right back here in Brockton. I worked at the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office in the Victim Witness Advocate Program for the juvenile court. That position, it taught me a whole lot. I just kind of went right in and learned about our public safety. And it was different then. That was years ago, over a decade ago. So I learned a lot about prosecution, about defense, the law, civil liberties. All of those things are things that I have history in. After a position actually availed itself to me to work for the Department of Youth Services after that. And I went on to work initially in the central office in Boston, but then they had me come back out and I was stationed right here on Bolton Place at the former Day Reporting Center, which is now Family Life, a housing unit.
So you seem to not to be able to get away from Brockton.
Let me tell you.
Brings you back. Something brings you back.
Let me tell you. I go up 24 and come right back down. So exactly. After I worked for the Department of Youth Services, it was a grant position actually, and the money ran out. So they kept me on as long as they could, and another opportunity made itself available to me. I worked for the Department of Children and Family. It was DSS at the time, and I worked there in the adolescent unit, and I was the court liaison. So I was kind of back in my element at the courts, and then an opportunity again availed itself to me to work for Congressman Lynch, and that's who I work for now, and I'm stationed right here in the Brockton District Office. Several people have come, into the office, constituents have come in. And in that time, I realized that I wanted to take my own, to be responsible for my own community, to do what I could as Shaynah Barnes in my own community. And an opportunity, again, availed itself. And I ran for city councilor 2 years ago. And I was fortunate
Hold that thought for a minute.
Okay.
Let's hold that
We'll stop there? Okay.
Let's go back to the job at the congressman's office.
Okay.
What is your job there?
On my card, on my business card, okay, it says district representative. And what that means is I am pretty much the eyes and ears of the congressman when he is not in the southern part of the district. I actually am the one that is the liaison between one city and the 6 towns. So Brockton, the 3 Bridgewaters, Whitman, Abington, and Rainham. So when someone says pretty much call your congressman, they get me. Get me.
So
first.
you hear all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems comes to you.
I do, and actually over the years, my position has changed, and the focus of what I do has changed. At this particular point, my expertise is in immigration.
Okay.
And that's what I usually help the constituents with. If anybody in the district, not even just the southern part of the district, all of the 8th Congressional District, if somebody has an issue with immigration, they come to me. I've been, I have relationships with the Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, all the embassies all over the whole world. And these are the relationships that I've built working for Congressman Lynch. I also do Social Security issues for folks down here in Brockton if they're having problems with their disability, their just any general benefits.
Do you know a lot of people don't know that?
Well, a lot of people call, so I think a lot more people know it than you and I might want to think. But I do that too. I assist them with maybe stalled cases, cases in appeal, reaching out to folks in the regional office in Boston. Also IRS. I do the IRS issues down here. I do Medicare issues down here. But again, people call for everything. People call with
different
their unemployment issues. They call if they want somebody they wrongfully terminated. They call for a problem in the court. It's my job to kind of triage those things. Some things our office doesn't do. We do things that deal with federal issues, federal agencies. That's what we do. So there are some things that we're not able to do, but I refer them to some of my state partners. So you
act as a liaison type of, or sometimes help navigate certain problems to some kind of resolution.
Right. If it's something that we don't directly take care of in our office, I provide resources maybe for someone or give them another alternative. But I mean, if it's something that we do, my job is to solve the problem. That's what we do.
Okay.
So
let me ask you, what got you into let me do my own?
Okay.
Let me do my own thing. Start, get into government. Start running.
Well, I started working for Congressman Lynch 8 years ago, and I started to become a little bit more intimately engaged with city government and how it works, and then seeing other types of government. Again, like I said, we're responsible for several towns. I'm responsible for several towns in this area. So I got to see how selectmen work, how town councils work, and how city councils work. Those are 3 very different things and different ways that communities can run their towns, their cities and towns. And as I became a little bit more familiar with how Brockton ran and the folks in the mayor's office, and at the time it was Mayor Harrington, I started to see that the issues that come before the city council, the issues that come before the mayor's office, things that we collaborate on in trying to find solutions for the constituents, they're my issues too. And I thought about it and I said, I'm out here and I'm being a public servant in the name of Congressman Stephen Lynch, which I love. Couldn't have asked for a better job, honestly, and a better boss to work for. But if I could also be that voice for my constituents, my community, my friends, my family, why shouldn't I do that in my own name?
In other words, you can do more being
Shaynah Barnes.
Yeah,
right.
Shaynah Barnes.
Right.
Who lives in the community.
Right.
Who is part of the people.
Right. Everything that happens here, I'm affected by that. Right. I'm affected by that stuff too.
Affected by everything.
Exactly. I've had my home broken into.
Yes.
I've had my tire popped out by a pothole.
Yes.
These are things that it happens to me too.
Yeah, and that puts you in a better position to advocate for them because you live it.
Exactly.
On a daily basis.
Exactly. And I was starting to see the questions and the things that I had and the things that were important to me. They're important to my neighbor. They're important to my cousins and my uncles and my mom that lives up the street. It's all the same thing. And they may not otherwise either want to bring it forward to local government or not have the opportunity to do that. An opportunity made itself available.
And you are there.
So that's what I figured that I would do. That's what I'm doing. I'm there to bring the concerns of the constituents to that chamber. And I feel I've done that. And just last week, 5,600 or so people had confidence in me, and they believed that I do that well as well because they reelected me. And I do thank them for that. Thank you.
Now, how is that job?
Huh?
How is that job?
The city council?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's the thing. When I first got in, even though I was familiar with it and I was exposed to how it worked, sitting in that seat is very different than sitting in the audience or watching it on TV. I got, a crash course of what goes on and how it works and some of the more intimate situations and how city government works. But what I've learned and what I've been able to be a part of and the family that I have, been voted into, I wouldn't give it up for the world. I enjoy it so much. I enjoy being able to say, Miss Jones has an issue. and she wants to bring it forward and to have somebody actually feel like they're being heard. That's what we do. That's what we're supposed to do.
So have you had a situation where you and your colleagues, you don't agree with certain things?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have different views.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the decision has to be made.
Right.
How did you resolve that kind of stuff?
Well, you know what? Councillor Sullivan, he's one of the veterans on the council, and I take a lot of cues from him. And I've spoken with him on several occasions just to get some advice, and he gives me excellent advice. And I model myself after him. I take the things that he does and I try to incorporate it into how I am a member of the body. So he always says, I'm one of 11. So there are 11 of us on the city council, 7 ward councilors and the 4 at-large councilors. At-large councilors, we represent everybody. And Councilor Sullivan says this too, all 7 wards, all 28 precincts. So when we disagree, it's not personal. It's not a personal kind of situation. We're there bringing the constituents' concerns. If the constituents in the area that contacted me, if they disagree, for instance, with people maybe in Ward 6 or disagree with the folks up in Ward 1, it is what it is. They disagree. But again, I put my vote in that represents the voice of the people. It's not personal. It's a job, it's a position.
And that's how it should be.
And there have been several times.
Because you're there to represent the people.
Right, and there have been several
times.
People
should be.
Right, there have been several times that I have been the lone dissenting vote. Mm-hmm. But if that's what people want, that's what I'm there to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to impart my own agenda or to have my own way of thinking of how something is. That's not my job.
Right.
My job is when that phone rings or when I get that email or someone stops me in the street and they let me know what they feel about a particular issue, that's what I do. I bring that to the chamber. So,
tell me, you just announced that you're running for the state rep.
Yes.
Why? Because I'm one of those too. I'm asking why because I just saw you ran this one. You just finished. And now you're embarking in another one.
Right.
Why?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the opportunity made itself available. When a door opens, far be it for me to close it or to close it in my face. It's an opportunity that I feel I can step into and be excellent at doing that particular job. I've already I've made relationships with the state representatives that are there. I met, well, I mean, there are 160 or so of them, but I've had relationships and have worked with several of them.
Some of them,
yeah. So I'm familiar with how the state government works, and honestly, I see an extreme advantage to having a current sitting city councilor also as a state legislator. It has happened before. When our most recent state representative went on and was elected to the state senate, Michael Brady, when he was elected, he was actually a Ward 2 city councilor. So he maintained his position on the city council, and he also was the state representative until his term was over. Michelle Dubois, same thing. Current councilor, well, she's not current, but because we just had an election, but she was the councilor for Ward 6, and then she was elected and went on to represent us in the State House.
What is the advantage?
That dynamic, and again, I've watched it, and I watched it from afar when Senator Brady did it, and I watched it up close and intimately when Michelle did it, when Representative Dubois did it. That direct line of communication is invaluable. The things that they can glean from the state government and bring back to Brockton, some of those things we may not know about. I keep calling Michelle. Representative Dubois, for instance, she brought some state folks down here to look at Brockton's fitness for becoming designated in economic justice. Environmental justice, an environmental justice community. There are some things that we may not otherwise be aware of if our state delegation, if we weren't so closely knitted together. If you listen to some of the meetings, the things that she says, they come straight from the governor's office. They're initiatives that come straight down, and she shares them in the meeting. That's how we know some of these things. That's how we're made aware.
So there is an advantage of being in both places at the same time.
Absolutely.
It benefits Brockton.
150%. And what will benefit Brockton even more is if you have someone in that position that is familiar with how the state government works. I was just in a meeting with a state senator the other day. I got a call actually from another state senator today. I've emailed all of these things from state representatives. I have very close relationships with several of the state representatives already that are anticipating, how this is going to work out. And it's invaluable. It is absolutely invaluable. Even in my position now, some things that come from the State House or some information that comes from the State House, for instance, I'll tell you right now, the Lieutenant Governor's office, I've been in communication with them and hopefully bringing some money and some funding down. Initially, it was for summer jobs for students, but then there was a holdup in the funds. But they've actually reached out to me again to be able to convene a community meeting to find out there's a pot of money that needs to come to Brockton. They came to me. So that's what I can do. That's what I can bring to our community. I can be that direct liaison. I'm doing it.
Yes.
I've already done it. So it would just be, I think, a lot easier for my eyes and ears to be on that ground at that State House under that dome to be able to make sure that Brockton gets its fair share, and to work with my colleagues, to work with Senator Brady, Representatives Cronin and Dubois. I get along great with them. I think I'll fit right into the fabric just fine.
So, from your perspective, what are the issues do you think is facing your constituency at this point?
Right, and again, I have to be clear because this particular position, it doesn't encompass all of Brockton. So, and again, like I said, there are 3 representatives for the city of Brockton. So Representative Cronin has, I think it's the 12th. I get them kind of mixed up sometimes, which one is which. The 11th. And Representative Dubois, I think, has the 10th. So those are the 2 outskirts of the city, which encompasses other towns. For instance, Michelle has like East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, and Claire has Easton. The 9th, which is pretty much carved out right in the middle, it is all Brockton all the time. So as a city councilor at large, I represent almost 93,000 people, almost 100,000 people. This particular area is about 42,000 people. In campaigning for re-election, when I met with those folks in those areas, wards 2, 3, 4, my area of 5, 7, when I met with those people in the street during the summer and during the fall, like you just said, as you did, one of the biggest concerns that people have is the public safety issue.
Yes.
And feeling safe and not feeling safe or having that be a question.
Yes.
So with my criminal justice background, I actually have a little bit of information about the public safety committees. There's an oversight committee also, the judiciary committee. Those are the committees that I want to take a look at if, assigned to those, because I guess as a freshman, you don't really get to pick. You get assigned to several things.
Where you're put.
Right. However, I will definitely make myself available to attend the hearings, to file whatever legislation needs to happen that represent the issues and the concerns of the people that, with the criminal justice reform issue that actually I'm kind of passionate about, that can make sure that we can get that done. And I'll tell you, in the streets, hearing what people were saying, the problem is pretty much outside of the borders of the city of Brockton. Our police force, they're out there doing their jobs day and night, working doubles, out there trying to be proactive, trying to do what they can with the resources that they have. Fortunately, things are going up and things are getting a little bit, the personnel, they're increasing their personnel, which will help greatly, but they're still at a disadvantage to the criminals and things on the street, but they're doing the best that they can. So when they go out and they arrest these people and they serve these warrants, and I call them the alphabet men, when the ATF and the FBI and the DEA and all these people come into and the state police, when they come into our city and they actively go out and get these people, they do their job. They send them to our district attorney's office, which I also feel does an excellent job at prosecuting cases, prosecuting criminals. They do what they can in there. They compile the evidence, they bring it to the court, they bring it to the judges. It's the state laws often that are the problem. I am personally offended if somebody has a gun at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they get arrested, they pay $1,400, $1,500, whatever the bail is at the time, and then they're back out in the street. that's a problem for me.
Okay.
And it's a problem for other people. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so passionate. I told you I'm passionate about it.
Yes, I can see you're passionate about it, and I want you to hold that thought. We're going to take a break, and we'll come right back to that particular issue.
Okay. All right.
Welcome back to Afrik Express, and we were talking earlier about public safety and all that, and it's something that really in the community a lot of people have concern, and I do understand that, and based on the way you were going on, I can tell that it's something that you will really pursue. So when you're elected, we'll be happy to see you there, because it's something that you believe in, something that you are into, something that you studied. So I think that we'll be leaving that area in in a good hand.
Thank you.
So, but let's go into how to get involved.
Right.
People, especially the minority community.
Right.
For example, I was out there and I noticed we don't care. I hate to say that word. I really hate to say that word, but it is true. That
apathy.
That people don't want to participate, and a lot of that, the sentiment is they don't want to be involved in the government. They don't trust the government. So, and then the people that are there, they're not doing anything. So, in your opinion, in the time that you've been doing this, how can we solve this problem? Because we need these people to be voting. We really do need them to be voting, because you cannot just continuously complain and not vote to get things changed. We need those votes so that we can get some changes.
Yeah. The one thing that has changed in my time kind of being exposed to politics, either, with myself or through Congressman Lynch, social media. Social media, there's nothing wrong with it. I use it. It's a great tool, information tool, but when people misuse it and they use it inappropriately, that's when things kind of go bad. And a lot of, we've kind of retreated as a race, not a human race, actually, not a color race, human race. We have retreated to no more personal contact. We don't phone, we don't call anybody, we text. We don't, we don't go outside. Kids don't go outside anymore. They are on the iPad or whatever's going on. So we've lost that human touch. However, this particular time in our nation's history, we're on the heels of electing a new president. We have all kinds of folks in the race. With the election of President Obama, it was huge. It was huge for our time in 8 years ago. So in that time in history, that was huge. Now there's a whole nother fabric, there's a whole nother texture to this election. And, barring my special election aside, what I've actually just been appointed to do is to be the Brockton coordinator for the National Convention delegate training. I got a call from one of my a colleague counselor in New Bedford, and she contacted me and asked if I would be the coordinator down here to find some candidates of color to be able to go to Philadelphia next year to the convention and represent our concerns, to represent the concerns of our community. Brockton, we're designated a minority-majority community. We need that representation. We need to we need to kind of stop doing the whole compartmentalizing thing and, I'm this, or I'm not that, or I'm this. We're 100,000 people in here, and we're all cramped into this little area, our little, four corners of Brockton. We need to really, really, really start getting together, and we need to start really being representative of who is living here.
When is this training going to be, and where?
Yeah, okay, so it just happened yesterday. I just got the call yesterday. I made a few calls earlier this morning to try to, we have to find a venue, and we have to get a date and time that's going to work for the folks that want to come. But if anybody's interested, if they want to be trained and they want to be considered to go to Philadelphia, I think it's in February. We got to find that out when that is. It's all very, very new. Like I said, I just got appointed yesterday. What they can do is they can contact my office and let I can put their name down
So
as
the
somebody
training is
interested.
going to be like how many hours?
One, maybe 1.5. I think we're gonna have some food and stuff there.
Okay.
I actually did it. I went in 2012, and I was on the delegate team to go for the 8th congressional district for the presidency of Barack Obama. It was excellent. It was so amazing. I had the best time. So I would definitely encourage anybody that wants to take this training and to be included. That's how you can be involved. Be included. I get people are mistrustful of the government, and they may not want to get so involved. But honestly, if you're not involved and if you're not part of giving some kind of positive feedback, you're part of the problem. I always tell people, I tell people this all the time. You can only do one of two things. Either you can keep complaining and do nothing, or do something and complain. So if you're doing it and you're still having a problem, complain all day. If you're out there voting, you complain. Yes. But if you are not voting and you are not engaging in your civil duty, don't complain.
Okay.
Quite.
So there are a couple of other candidates that have announced that they're running for the state. Tell me, why are you the best candidate?
Well, for some of the reasons
why should someone vote for you?
Well, some of the reasons I said just now. I already have the legislative experience. I have current legislative experience. I draft orders. I vote my conscience. I vote what the people want. I have a history. I have a background. I have the reputation of voting what the people want. Even though it might go against the norm, it might go against the grain. That's what the people wanted me to do. That is what I do. I have proven that. Like I said, 5,600 and some change people had confidence in me to go back into that chamber to represent their interests. I would ask that they would have confidence in me to represent their interests on a state level. We can't let Brockton fall through the cracks. And again, we have this opening. It's right in the middle of the city. We have excellent representation on the north side. We have excellent representation on the west side with Representatives Cronin and Dubois. We have excellent representation in the state house with, in the Senate with Senator Brady. We need to fill that gap with someone that can work with those people, that identify with the people in that area. And that can bring.
That is the key.
Right, and
that
can bring those concerns.
Identify with the people there.
Right.
Because, it's one thing being in a position.
Right.
It's one thing if the person doesn't identify with the people there.
Right.
And I think if we are to get people to start getting involved, that's what we need to do.
Right.
You have to put someone in that identifies with those people, because that is the key to reaching them.
Right. And it turns people off sometimes if you don't feel like you can come to somebody or that person will even have a minimal understanding of what you're talking about.
Yes.
Some people just
they don't want to participate.
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not even going to talk to you about it because it's going to be too long to explain. But if we have kind of that base relationship or that base understanding, that cuts down so many barriers, and it gets people to be able to talk to whoever they want to talk to and to get their concerns out, that they may not be intimidated, they may not be so afraid. I'm so sorry. I'm just...
Well, it sounds like we have to continue this discussion, maybe another show somewhere down the line.
Okay.
For now...
But can just really quickly, with the delegate training, can I just give my information if people are interested?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if you're interested in participating in the... Persons of Color Minority Training for the Democratic National Convention, you can contact me at SMBFORTH, the number 9. No, back up. SMBFORTHE, the number 9, TH. So it's SMB for the 9th at gmail.com. And then I can put you on the list, and we'll definitely pull from that list and have folks come to the training. You'll get all the information and be up to date on how that's going. So,
thank you so much, Ms. Pans. We really appreciate you coming on Afrik Express.
Sure.
That being it, thank you so much for watching out there. Please continue to watch us on this channel, and for those of you in her district, please. She'll be out there in the next couple of weeks and start knocking at your doors. Again, when you go out there to vote, I believe in March, be responsible.
February 2nd.
February 2nd, be responsible. Get some information about the candidates that are running out there so that you can make the right choice. Again, thank you for being on Afrik Express, and do continue to watch us on this channel, same time and same place.